The bigger the growth, the stronger the contraction. This is not evidence that you're failing. This is evidence that something powerful is happening. The contraction is the gate. What lies on the other side of the gate is no more resistance. I want to look at the force that keeps pulling the avatar back towards its current level, what I call the avatar's contraction. And I'm using the word contraction deliberately. It's the opposing force to expansion. Because what happens when the avatar is pulling back is exactly that, a contraction. A drawing inward or backward towards what is safe and known. It's a reaction to our attempt at expansion. And there's a gravitational quality to it. Just as gravity works in the background of our lives without any effort, the avatar's contraction pulls you back towards your current level, often without even noticing, because it's happening so naturally. It's the default. It's automatic. It takes no effort at all. It's the climb that takes intention, awareness, and practice. So let's look at exactly what this contraction is made of, because when you understand it, really understand it, something shifts. You stop fighting yourself. You stop thinking there's something wrong with you, and you start working with a much more accurate and compassionate picture of what's actually happening. The avatar's contraction has 4 main components. I want to walk you through each of them, and as I do, I'd invite you to notice which of these feel most alive, most recognizable in your own experience. Number 1, there's beliefs about the world, the rules of your current reality, of your current level. 2, there are beliefs about yourself, your identity. 3, emotional memory. And 4, nervous system safety. So let's look at these one by one. Beliefs about the world, the rules of your current level or reality. This first component is the beliefs your avatar holds about how your world works. These are not beliefs about yourself. We'll get into those in a moment. These are the operating rules of your current level of the game, the things that your avatar accepts as simply true about reality. You know these beliefs. Most of us absorb them so early and so thoroughly that they don't feel like beliefs at all. They feel like facts. They feel like physics. They sound like money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for a living. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist. Nothing in life is free. The world is a competitive place, and there's only so much to go around. You can't have everything. You have to choose. Be realistic. Don't get your hopes up. These are beliefs of a third-dimensional reality, the collective agreements that govern the level we're currently playing. And here's the crucial thing. At the level where they were formed, they made sense. They reflected what was observable, what was consistent, what the people around you had also come to believe was true. But they are not universal truths. They are not energetic or metaphysical truths. They are the rules of a particular level of the game. And when you begin to climb, when you begin to operate from a higher vibrational level, you discover that different rules apply, that money can flow easily, that things can come through grace rather than grind, that the invisible is more real than the visible. The avatar carries these beliefs as a map of reality, and that map will keep rooting you back towards its current level unless the player is awake and can start directing it towards higher levels of the game. Third dimensional reality is a reality of duality, of either or, black or white, good or bad. Fifth dimensional reality is not. It is an and both kind of reality. They are different levels of the game, and at different levels, different rules apply, different beliefs apply. In third dimensional reality, there's a belief around scarcity. We believe that there's not enough to go around. In the fifth dimensional reality, there is more than enough to go around. There is abundance. There are merely different levels of the game. And at different levels, different rules apply. There's different context, different beliefs. Third dimensional reality is an either-or reality. So often we have contradictory beliefs. So for example, there's often a belief that you can either be successful or you can be happy. In fifth dimensional reality, you can have both. In third dimensional reality, we often believe that in order to be successful, you need to have money. But we also believe that love of money is not good. it's greedy, or that rich people are bad people. So when we desire the money and the success, it comes with a contradiction that having that money will make us a bad person. And we don't want to be a bad person. So therefore, our avatar sabotages our wanting to be successful or our manifestation of abundance. In third dimensional reality, we believe that you have to work hard in order to earn money. In fifth dimensional reality, money can flow easily and we can make money by doing what we love. In third dimensional reality, there's a belief that we can't sustain ourselves by doing what we love. Do you see the contradiction? So what I want you to become aware of is the beliefs that are subtly at play in the background of your consciousness, that you've been taught, that are ingrained in you, that contradict the fifth dimensional reality, that contradict the level that you want to be playing at, the level where you have abundance and happiness and love and health and well-being. Because once you become aware of those beliefs, you can change them. You can choose. You can decide. You activate your player and you decide which reality you want to be playing in. You move yourself more to the fifth dimensional reality and away from third dimensional reality. The first thing is to be able to observe and to notice what our programming is, because from there we can choose. From there we have power. Let's look at beliefs about self, about our identity. These are not world beliefs, but they are deeply entangled with them. They are beliefs that your avatar holds about who it is, its identity. And identity is the single most powerful organizing principle of law of attraction. Where world beliefs say, this is how life works, identity beliefs say, this is who I am. They sound like, I'm not good with money. I'm someone who struggles in relationships. I'm not the kind of person who gets that kind of opportunity. I'm not disciplined, creative, confident enough. People like me don't, ... fill it in. I've always been this way. Identity beliefs are the avatar's sense of self, and human beings are wired neurologically and psychologically to remain consistent with who they believe they are. We do not like cognitive dissonance. When our experience begins to diverge from our identity, when abundance starts to flow for someone who believes they're not good with money, the system will find a way to restore the familiar story and ensure that they lose that money, not out of self-destruction, out of a deep need for internal consistency. This is why Neville Goddard places so much emphasis on identity. He doesn't say, think about what you want. He says, assume the state of the person who already has it. Become that person, because it's from the inside out, from the identity level, that reality shifts, not the other way around. Your world beliefs set the rules of your current game level. Your identity beliefs define the character you're playing. Both need to shift for you to genuinely move to a higher level. And both will exert contraction when you begin to do the work that starts your expansion. I'll give you a quick example. I've always had the belief that I have no hand-eye coordination and that I'm terrible at ball sports. And when I was younger, I could not hit a ball to save my life. But recently, I was asked to join some friends for pickleball. Immediately, my old story came up. I'm terrible at ball sports. I can't hit a ball. I have no hand-eye coordination. And then I thought, hold on. That's my old identity. That's one version of my avatar. Let me shift to a different reality, to a different avatar, to an avatar that actually does have hand-eye coordination and can hit a ball. And so I shifted to that identity and I went to go and play pickleball. And I had so much fun. And to my complete surprise, I could actually hit the ball. I wasn't the greatest pickleball player, but I certainly wasn't the worst. I was much better than I thought I would be. Now let's look at emotional memory. Your nervous system is an extraordinary archive. It stores in precise detail every significant emotional experience you've ever had. And it uses those archives constantly, scanning the present for patterns that match the past and triggering responses accordingly. This is why, Certain situations produce feelings that seem disproportionate to what's actually happening in the present moment. The present is activating the past. The avatar's nervous system cross-references every experience against its archive. And if it vaguely matches something that was once painful, threatening, or overwhelming, the contraction response activates. It says something like, "We tried this before and it hurt." The emotional memory is not lying. It is accurately reporting what happened before. It is simply not accounting for the fact that you are not in the past, that you are not the same avatar you were then. Now let's look at the nervous system safety. This is the final component and is most purely biological. Your nervous system is calibrated for survival, and survival neurologically means predictability. The known is safe. The familiar is manageable. The unfamiliar, even when it is exciting and wonderful, registers as a mild threat. This is why positive change can feel uncomfortable, why stepping into a bigger version of yourself can trigger anxiety alongside the excitement, why you might find yourself pulling back from exactly the thing you were asking for. Your system is saying, "I don't know this territory." And the avatar's response, its deeply ingrained response is, "Okay, let's return to somewhere we do know. Let's return to familiar territory." This also relates strongly to the concept of ego death that I will go into shortly. I'll give you an example. I have a client who has come to me because he wants to manifest abundance, but he has a memory from the past of attracting huge abundance and then losing it. Now, when we work on his goal of manifesting abundance, his nervous system remembers the so-called failure and pulls him back. He says things like, "I have to be realistic. I have to have it all figured out." And that's not the way law of attraction works. So as much as he desires huge abundance, his nervous system remembers the pain of losing it before and stops him from even trying to get back there again. On top of all four of those internal components, there's something happening at the collective level that I want to name, because it adds a very real gravitational pull to the avatar's contraction. Third dimensional reality is a shared reality, and it is the level of reality where we entered this game. It has its own rules, its own laws, and those rules are not just in our heads. They are in our culture, in our language, in our systems, in the conversations of almost everyone around us. When we begin to shift, you start thinking and believing and expecting differently from the people around you. You're moving away from the third dimensional reality and moving towards a fifth dimensional reality. And when we do this, the third dimensional reality responds, not out of cruelty, out of self-preservation. Its job is to maintain its own coherence. And someone vibrating at a different frequency is a wobble in the system. So the messages from the outer world get louder. This isn't realistic. You're being naive. Who do you think you are? This won't last. You're being delusional. Just be grateful for what you have. These messages come from outside, from people who mean well, from systems that were built on third dimensional rules, but they also get internalized. They become the avatar's own inner voice. And they are very easy to mistake for wisdom or discernment, when really they are simply the rules of the current level trying to keep you in it. The distinction I want you to hold is this. Third dimensional rules are real at the level they were formed. You can't simply wish money into your bank account from a third dimensional reality while holding every one of those contracting beliefs. But they are not the only reality available. They are one level of the game, not all of them. And as your identity and your vibrational alignment shifts, the rules that apply to your experience genuinely change. Now, here's something I find genuinely transformative when I explain this to clients. The avatar's contraction is not about not wanting things enough, or being lazy, or even about fear of failure. It's about the fear of identity death, ego death. When real growth is on the horizon, when a genuine level shift is approaching, the avatar senses that the old version of itself will cease to exist. Its old identities will dissolve. Its old strategies will stop working. The old versions of you fall away. From the avatar's perspective, this is a kind of death. So when the resistance feels strongest, when the contraction is loudest and most insistent, that is almost always a sign that something genuinely significant and powerful is happening. The bigger the growth, the stronger the contraction. The closer you are to a real level shift, the stronger the pull back to base camp. This is not evidence that you're failing. This is evidence that something powerful is happening. The contraction is the gate. What lies on the other side of the gate is no more resistance. It's the level you've been climbing towards. So what do we do with all of this? The player's role is not to force the avatar to climb, not to override the contraction with willpower or shame it into submission. The player's role is to see it clearly, to understand what's happening, to hold the avatar with genuine compassion rather than judgment, and from that steady, compassionate place, make a conscious choice about what comes next. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote that the answer to fear is not force, but faith. That the antidote to contraction is not pushing harder, but claiming, gently, firmly, what is already yours in the invisible realm. Not the visible evidence of base camp, but the vibrational truth of the summit.